inside before the finish line, but he has to he's slowing up so much, he loses a ton of time there. Did you see how he just kind of like...
Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. We like to every once in a while kind of highlight and showcase people that are doing cool stuff in the industry. And I've got one of those folks right next to me. This is Cari Schehr, and she runs the, let me see if I can get this right, Post Grindstone Compound Friesen Group Race Team. And
that was close.
What I mess up?
That was close. Host Grindstone Friesen Group.
Okay, well, anyway, I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Right.
You guys are doing really cool stuff. The Grindstone Compound, I've seen it years ago. We were just talking about it's been over a decade.
Yeah.
And it was pretty rudimentary. But you guys have really developed this thing into a cool camp, really the only one in Southern California, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Even though they're so prevalent back east, I don't know of any other ones out here. And not only that, you're a female in a pretty male-dominated sport, doing it all. You're the team owner, team manager, trainer.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So, and we were talking a little bit about kind of the genesis of the team and why you got into this, and you said something that really kind of resonated with me, and it's, oh gosh, salary over semi. Like your guys' focus was, hey, let's find a way to take care of these riders before we go trying to be all big and fancy. And, tell me about how that started and kind of how you got into this position.
I think we talked about it a little bit, I touched on it a little bit last year when I started the team. Was originally I was going to do the team and wanted to do a team, Supercross team for my son Gage, and as you've known him forever. But when he got injured and all that, and so, but there was always this like gap of like a guy that makes a main event. If they're not on a factory ride, but they're still good enough to make those main events, like there's not enough money to be made for them, right? And so I felt like, with their like talent and results and things like that, there should just be a little bit more money to get them to the next races, right?
Yeah.
So I had thought about doing the team, and I was like, well, I wanted to build a team that was as close as I can, competitive enough, right, to a factory team. And I know we don't have all the resources that they have, right? But as best as we possibly could, with not cutting corners everywhere, right? And start from the middle of the team, like from the core of the team first, and then work on the exterior part of it. So I think that's where I came up with, hey, you want salary before semi. Which one do you want? Because once you grow and you get bigger, and you got all that money going into that. So I wanted a good bike first and foremost, which is why I used Twisted for the motors. Good suspension from Enzo. Like I just wanted to make sure I built a bike that was competitive, and I think we're there so far. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're using these really high-end. Jamie from Twisted is one of the elite engine builders in the sport. Enzo, obviously, his name speaks for himself, what he's done over there. And there is such a gap, right? I mean, the guys that have the factory-supported rides, their lap times, a guy who gets 3rd, 4th, 5th, who's factory-supported, his lap time from the guy who's getting 10th is not that different, typically. Mm-hmm. But that guy's paying his way to the races in 10th, right? A lot of times. So there is this very sharp drop off.
Yeah.
And so we need more of these support teams like you guys have to kind of round out and fill out that class. The 450 class doesn't seem to have that problem so much, because now there's almost 20 factory guys. But the 250 class does struggle. And some of these kids are very talented. They just need
some support to get and
there.
I think that goes for one of my riders, Max Sanford, was the same. He rode some Hondas. He was going to race by himself with his dad. I mean, just really scraping to get from one race to the next race, right? Just to show up. And but I started working with him, training him, and then saw that there was some potential for him. Like if he had a little bit more support, what would happen? So when last year Dylan got hurt, it was like, hey, let's give somebody an opportunity. Let's see if it elevates him. So, and I'm pretty sure a couple years ago he hadn't made any main events, and last year he made most of them. Yeah. So, and did really well.
You proved the point of your team right there.
Yeah. So I think just giving people a chance that maybe wouldn't ultimately have the chance at that moment, right? And say, hey, will this elevate you better, you know? And,
Yeah.
and I think Max proved that it does, you know, it gained confidence and his results are starting to get better, so.
So tell me a little bit about the compound. What you guys have a gym there, you
Yeah.
guys obviously have a garage. I mean, tell me about the whole arrangement and what people get when they come.
Yeah, so Grindstone, it's a live-in training facility. So, I mean, it used to be like we had people coming in and out, maybe only for a week, and then here and there. And now it's really morphed now because of, I think, now doing the Supercross team. Most of my guys are full-time now. So, you know, Caden Martin's one of my amateur. He rides for my elite team. Wyatt Harrington, Jackson Friesen. I have these guys that are at the compound now living there, and they go home. I mean, I think Caden goes home once every 2 months for a week. I'm like, nope, that's all you get. Come on back. Anyways, yeah, so it's a live-in. We do all their fitness, monitor everything through Training Peaks, I do all their training at the track, and then, yeah, they live there, and then I recently moved back home to my house in San Clemente, so I just commute back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were living out there as well for a while.
Yeah, for a long
right?
time, yeah.
So how did you get, how did you get to this point? Obviously you started with Gage, just going to the track and learning kind of what he needed to do, but did you just pick things up along the way as far as the training and nutrition and what do they do on the bike? What should we be doing off the bike? Because you have a whole program that you offer to these guys now.
So I think, my whole life I've done a bunch of different stuff. So, I obviously went to school for a bunch of stuff, and then I rode and raced. I always say my claim to fame was I raced at Glen Helen for Johnny Campbell for the 24-hour.
Okay.
I think that was my last thing I could actually say, and I only keep saying it because it's the only thing I got left. So I know how to ride a bike, yes, but I did that, and then I just drew a blank. So with the fitness and then with my sons, both of my boys raced, it kind of morphed into something. And it's like, I used to do fitness classes and this and that. But
you just basically took what you're doing from your
It just kind of
kids
grew into something, and my son was like, hey, would you train my friend? And then I started doing that. And then, I just realized, hey, this is something I really love doing, Yeah. So now morphed into this, where we're at now,
Yeah, I mean, did you ever imagine this is where you'd be?
I always said that the younger version of me would have been so pumped on this older version of me, because this is exactly what I probably have always wanted to do. I have mentioned that when my son got hurt, I was like, oh, I wonder if I actually love the sport for my kids, or do I actually personally really love it, And I love the sport.
Yeah.
I think I've been in it long enough now that I'm like, I don't know if I could do anything else now anyways.
Yeah, this sport has a way
I'm going to be with a cane here pretty soon.
This sport has a way of hooking you in, and it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
Tell me about, I'm sure you had your kid with a big injury, and you've seen some of your riders, I'm sure, get hurt. How do you deal with that? Because I know even as a team manager, when I was working for Troy and Christian Craig got hurt really bad, it's like, you have a personal connection to these riders. It's not just like an employee.
Right.
You spend enough time with them, they become friends, and it's hard to see that happen.
And the dynamics of my relationship with my guys I'm really close to my guys. I do because I spend so much time with them. We spend every day together.
Yeah.
So they feel like more than just kids I'm training. They feel like my kids, really.
Yeah.
So I do train differently after my son got hurt. Like days that guys are just not feeling it. I don't put so much like, oh yeah, you know what, you have to finish that day. Sometimes I'm like, hey, if you're not feeling it, and if this is not a norm for you, we're done for the day.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've learned a little bit more to be a little bit more, a little bit better at that.
Yeah.
Not so pressing.
Right. Kind of listen to your intuition. I know I think as we all mature a little bit, we learn to listen to our gut a little bit more, and it's usually right.
Yeah.
So what are you guys doing this year? Just West Coast Supercross?
Yep. So we do West Coast Supercross, and then we'll usually do like the first 3 rounds of outdoors.
Okay.
And then I think that'll be it. And last year, Max went on and did most of all of the outdoors. So like I'll help support that, but I'm not going to do the outdoor team. I want to be just Supercross kind of only for the most part.
Do you guys do like Loretta's camps and stuff for the summer for your amateur kids?
You're talking about for the team?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. yeah, for the Supercross, we're only doing West Coast, and for all my amateurs, yeah, we're doing all of them.
Okay.
Everything. Yeah, we do Loretta's, we do Freestone.
Okay.
All of them.
Is there more room for if people wanted to join in, or are you guys full?
So, for the most part, we have like 2 beds available right now, and then usually January we're full. I think February we're almost full. I mean, we have some guys that meet us at the track,
okay.
but for the most part, like I have a few spots available because we have RV sites too.
Sure.
But for almost full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me this: how are you? Do you find any like people that look at you funny because you're a girl, kind of in a sport that's predominantly male, or do you feel like people go, "Hey, right on"? You know, I mean, what's the?
I think in the beginning, so years ago, yes, you know, it's like, oh, Moto Mom out there, Moto Mom.
Yeah.
I think I had that for a really long time, and for me, I was like,
Now you built some street
I am
cred,
a motor mom, but Moto Mom, but come on, give me a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't up until like honestly, like maybe 3 years ago. If finally, I think it was like, she's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we can't chase this chick out of here.
So yeah.
Well, look, Jeannie Carmichael,
Yeah.
Millsap's mom. There's plenty of ladies that have come in and done some pretty remarkable things. So I think you're on your way to doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. And you're bringing in cool sponsors like Rocket Apples.
Yeah. So I think the
crazy.
cool thing about the team is like a lot of my sponsors are from kids, families that I train.
Yeah.
Rocket Apple is one of them. Geber's family run they're the farmers in Washington, which I was telling you about, which is pretty cool. And then I have like Jackson Friesen, the Friesen Group. Lucas Goodleaf was another one of the riders, and that's Host, which is like a travel center in Quebec. So, and then of course all the industry sponsors have been on board since Gage was little, and I've kind of just transferred them over. We have great relationships with FMF and Donnie, and it's just been really, I mean, the support's been really awesome to feel it grow. And now with the salary before semi kind of thing, we had a small little setup, and this year I think we're going to come in quite a bit bigger, and I'm pretty excited to see. Yeah. Just feels good.
Oh, it's so fun to watch
excited.
it grow. Yeah, I mean, even just to see the team kind of continue to evolve and grow, it's got to feel good. So I'm excited for you guys.
I'm excited for Dylan Walsh to come in, and I think he has a lot to show. You know, he's been top 10 in that top 10 range, and then has gotten injured a couple of years. So it's like, Dylan and Max both. I think we're a great group together.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm cheering for Dylan because of his number. I mean, he's got the 101,
Yeah.
so I'm always got his back.
Yeah.
What are the goals for you guys? Like, what would be a good season for you? Dylan in some top 5s, or yeah.
Ideally, yes. But I don't want to press. I mean, obviously that's what we want, right? But if he could just ride the way he rides, then like the results show for themselves, right?
Right.
When I see him ride after he's only been here a couple weeks, and see him on the track, I think, he could we have some time still before January 11th, so I think he's capable of doing something. I don't want to put one on it, but my expectations are higher for both than last year.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
I'm hoping.
I guess take steps forwards from last year, right?
Just to be better than we were last year. We'll just keep growing together. That's my hopes. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited for you guys.
Yeah.
I love what you're building. It's great. I hope people will follow along as you see Dylan Walsh and
Max
Sanford. West Coast only, right?
Yeah, West Coast only. And then Wyatt Harrington and Cade Martin are my amateur elite guys for amateurs. So.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for these guys. Cheer for them. It's a really cool program out here run by a really, really sweet lady. So stoked to see you doing so well.
Thanks.
If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, comment what you thought, and share it with your friends.